Afternoon. This is Ian Campbell with Alpha Capital. We are the 401k advisors on the 401k plan and wanted to welcome everybody to the enrollment meeting. Today we're going to be discussing the online enrollment packet as well as the paper PDF packet. All this information has been emailed to Gloria and Tommy for them to send to you electronically via email. Nothing will necessarily need to be printed out, so please follow the online enrollment packet if you would. If you would like to complete the paper PDF version, that is also available too. The first packet of information that we're going to be looking at is the online enrollment, which is the online enrollment packet. It's 14 pages in length. Starting on the second page is the first initial step, where you will go to the provider's website at Retirement Plan Consultants. So this is that website link here. I've actually got it pulled up on another screen for you to see what that website looks like, to create some familiarity for you. Once you access this website, you'll see at the top left corner of the gray box, there will be a button where it says online enrollment. That will be the first step. You click that, and then you'll type in that plan password. The plan password is in the middle of this document here, IMM, HOME, in all capital letters. Make sure you are typing in that password in all capital letters. It is case sensitive when you are putting that plan password in. Once you type in that plan password, you'll hit next, and that'll actually ask you to type in social security number and date of birth to start putting in your personal information. On this document, starting on page 7, you'll see that there'll be a step-by-step worksheet for screenshots. Let me go back to page 7 here, or sorry, page 8. We'll start the step-by-step process here. So you'll see exactly what I just showed you. Click online enrollment, type in the plan password, and then you'll put in your social security number and date of birth, and then start filling in your username and password and creating that setup. Throughout the onboarding process, there's about halfway through, there's a section where you'll be selecting all sources of money for the investments. So make sure you are looking at this step-by-step guide as you're going through that online enrollment. You'll select all sources of money when you're on this 50% complete step, and then just hit next and go through that. For the purposes of the call today and webinar, we wanted to go to the paper version of the enrollment form just to create some discussion around the 4 types of decisions that you'll be facing today. The first section is going to be all personal information. One piece is important is the date of hire. Please make sure that you have that at your fingertips when you are completing either the paper version or the online enrollment. For those who do want to participate in the plan, the enrollment election, you have 2 different contribution types. One is a pre-tax contribution. The second is a Roth contribution or after-tax. The difference between the pre-tax and after-tax contribution is when the money is taxed. For a pre-tax contribution or traditional contribution, that would be what's probably most familiar to most of you, is you're going to be putting in contributions today and not paying taxes on it yet. When you withdraw the money in retirement, that's when you would pay the taxes on those monies. The opposite happens with a Roth or after tax. You're paying the effective tax rate today and putting in money that you've already paid taxes on. Therefore, when you withdraw the money in retirement, that money's already been taxed and is not subject to it again. So depending on your tax bracket right now and what you foresee tax rates to be in the future, you could argue one side or the other. We tend to see people will do the pre-tax or traditional, because that has a lesser effect to your net take-home pay. If you're younger or you want to pay the taxes right now, then Roth is also a good option. Which brings us to kind of the third decision, is the how much question. How much is very important. The national average across all industries, all age groups, is around 8%. So use that as kind of a watermark. A lot of research and study has shown is that 10% is really the magic number for folks to save at. If you were to do research around how much should you be saving in retirement, that 10% number would be the identified recommended path, all the way up to 15% as well. We understand that 10% or even 8% may not be in the cards for you at this time. Starting out at a lower percentage is definitely fine, but definitely consider possibly up that contribution by 1% every year. So if you're starting out at say 5, go up to 6 the next year, 7 next year, and then 8 that following year. So that 1% increase is an easy way to get up to that national average, or even up to that 10% number from a recommended savings rate. What's also important is part of the 401k plan, and the benefit in the 401k plan from the company is there's called a safe harbor match that's available for those who do want to participate in the plan. The safe harbor match is a company match, and that is a calculation off of what you put in. And I'm going to say it a couple different ways. It's 100% on the first 3% that you put in, and then 50% on the next 2, from 4 to 5. So if you put in 1%, the company match would be 1, 2 for 2, 3 for 3. If you put in 4%, the company match would be 3.5. If you put in 5, the company match would be 4. The maximum match is 4%. So if you put in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you're going to maximize that benefit of the company match. You have to put in at least 5% if you want to maximize that company benefit. If you put in something less than 5, then you are essentially leaving money on the table for that company match. With that being said, we would recommend you to start out at least 5% so you get that full 4% company match. You can adjust your contribution rate at any time, as well as adjusting from pre-tax to Roth if you would like. So nothing is technically set in stone, but what you're filling out today is going to go into effect that following pay period. So be mindful of that, and we definitely do recommend upping that contribution if you can. So again, we've talked about pre-tax and Roth. We talked about how much and the company match. If there's any questions that either of you have, you're free to reach out to Mark or myself at Alpha Capital for any questions. For those who do not want to participate in the plan, this page, this document, this 2-page PDF enrollment document is actually going to serve as a waiver for those who do not want to participate in the plan. So they'll complete that top section, and then to select that third option, I elect not to contribute into the plan at this time. That will serve as a waiver, and then you will turn it to either Gloria or Tommy. This brings us to the fourth decision, is the investments. All of the investments are all institutional grade mutual funds. What that means to you is they're all low cost investment options. All of these investments are also top quartile performers. Part of Mark and I's role and responsibility on the plan as advisors is to make sure this investment menu is great today, but as we review these investments every single quarter, if there is one that doesn't do well for consecutive quarters, we'll pull it out and replace it automatically for you. So the plan's always ebbing and flowing and getting better with time. So you've got some great investment choices, top performers and low cost, but we understand that telling you you've got great investments and low cost doesn't help you with that final investment decision. So part of our ongoing investment education and advice, we put together what's called a model asset allocation guide. And this will be one of the attachments that you'll get in the email with the online enrollment materials. This top larger rectangle is going to be more of a hands-on approach for those who want to pick and choose individual holdings. We built 5 different model portfolios based off of a risk tolerance. So if you were, say 20 or 30 years old, you could follow that aggressive column and then fill out those percentages. You'd line up, if you're picking the moderate aggressive one, you'd go back to that last sheet that we were just on, find the DFA Emerging Markets Core Equity Fund, write 4% in it. Go find the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, write 4%, and go down this list and write those percentages in on that last worksheet we're just on. For folks in their 30s and 40s, even into their 40s and 50s, will tend to be in that moderate aggressive column. Late 50s, early 60s, we tend to see people in that moderate column. And then in retirement, we see folks in that conservative or moderate conservative portfolio. So from a risk standpoint, we tend to see people that are younger will take more risk because they can afford to and they're looking for growth and they have more time on their side. With folks that are nearing retirement, that's when they become a little bit more conservative in nature. So the top larger rectangle is a hands-on model. The ask of you is, as we come out with these quarterly updates to these recommended percentages, is you just simply log in online, check those percentages to what your holdings are, and make any adjustments to that. It would take a couple minutes. The hands-off model would be, or the autopilot type mode, would be to choose one of the target date funds, which is in that bottom left corner. And the way target date funds work is they are appropriate for you at every state, throughout your working career at every age. So the bigger the year is going to be for those younger individuals because they're going to be retiring later in life. For those who are older, you're going to have a smaller year because you're going to be retiring sooner. The way this works is you're going to do the math around what year it will be when you reach age 65. And that will plop you into one of these target date ranges. And then that would be your most appropriate target date fund based off of that year. So for the younger folks, again, it would be the bigger year. For the older guys that are nearing retirement, it's going to be closer to the present year. So the ones I've highlighted in blue are going to be more aggressive in nature. They're going to be 80 to 90% in equities or stocks. The next four, kind of in the middle, are going to be 60-40, 70-30, from equities and stocks. And then the ones that are nearing retirement or closer to the present year are going to be close to a 50-50 portfolio. The way target date funds work is they start out in 90% equities, and then every 5 years they de-risk just a little bit, ultimately becoming a 50-50 portfolio at retirement time. So we've got one option up at the top is more of a hands-on approach with a guided recommendation on investment selection. The second would be a target date fund. We tend to see people choose more target date funds. About 80% of the population will actually choose a target date fund just because most people are in that hands-off approach. And then the third is you're free to do whatever else you would like. There is no cost of changing any of your investments at any time. You'll have 24/7 access to go online and make any adjustments to that. If you have any questions as well, you can reach out to Mark or myself. Here on the bottom is our contact information on the bottom of this asset allocation guide. It'll also be in the signature block of our email. I did want to hop back to the enrollment form. Again, as we talk about the investments, you'll want to make sure that that total investment totals up to 100%. So if you're choosing a target date fund, you'll write 100% in that. If you're choosing some of the other investments, you'll want to make sure that everything totals up to 100%. And a quick signature on the last page. There's two other short items that we wanted to cover before we wrap this up. The beneficiary designation form is something that you can complete online. So as you are filling out that, there'll be a section where you'll be able to click beneficiary and input that information. Beneficiaries are very important. In the event that you pass away, the monies that you've accumulated in the account or rolled in, you can elect that to whom you wish. So be mindful that you're selecting somebody there and then also keeping this up to date. For an example, husband and wife couple with 2 children, the spouse would be listed as primary beneficiary at 100%, and the 2 children would be listed as contingent beneficiaries at 50% apiece. There is a note on the bottom of this form that's under this dotted line. In the event that you are skipping your spouse as being primary beneficiary, they have to acknowledge that they're being skipped or not first in line, and a witness notary also needs to be present and sign that as well. So if that does apply, you would need that filled out and completed. But if you are just electing, if you're married and you're electing your spouse as primary beneficiary, you don't have to worry about completing that. And again, you can update all of this information online. The last and final thing that we'll cover is the plan account rollover. In the event that you've got an old 401k or an IRA sitting out there at another company and you want to consolidate that or roll that into the plan, you are eligible to do that. So you can reach out to Retirement Plan Consultant, which is the provider. There's a gal by the name of Stephanie Wolf that can help with that transition from the other company over to the new provider. So if that does apply, feel free to reach out to us. This is the receiving form. There's normally one form that you'll complete at the current company that you're leaving, and then this would be the receiving one where it's going. So if there's any questions on that, feel free to reach out to us. We can get you connected with Stephanie Wolf over at Retirement Plan Consultants to assist in that process. Again, just wanted to thank everybody for their time. I'm going to hop back up to the top of this page here. Over the cover page, our contact information is on the bottom of that allocation guide, as well as in our signature. So feel free to reach out to us. If there's anything that we can help with in the meantime, feel free to let us know. This is not a one and done. As we are receiving new enrollments for the employees there, we will be hosting these enrollment meetings, as well as available to you at any time. So I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you again.